Good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. So we're going to do our reading comprehension. We're going to jump right into it. We've been reading a story about a little girl who went to visit her grandmother during the summer. So the first story we read was Kate Visits Nan. I gave you some pointers that I took right from the story. Kate, mom and dad dropped her off. Nan is Kate's grandmother. Nan lives in the West. Nan and Kate received an offer from Jake to go camping with him and Max. Jake is Max's granddad. Max is 9 years old, just like Kate. Kate said the things that they would do when they go on their hike. And these are all the things that she said. And remember, everything I just read to you came exactly from the story. I went nowhere else. I took it from Kate Visits Nan. I told you that this was the West. They just told us that Kate went to visit her grandmother Nan in the West. They didn't say exactly where. They just said the West. So just pick a place over there. The West. So then we did the campsite. So with the campsite, Jake came and picked up Kate and Nan in his Jeep. The campsite was called Badlands. Remember, legend had it that they thought that the land was for farming, but no, they called it Badlands because actually it was not a land for farming. It was actually a land for camping. Because it had rocks. You can't farm with rocks. So they had rocks, they had sand, they had stone. That's not good land for farming. Because farming, you're growing crop. So then Kate and Nan set up the tents because they're going camping. They ate their hot dogs for dinner. But remember, Kate left hers on the fire too long, so hers turned black. But Max was kind enough to give her one of his. So Kate said that Max, he's okay because he gave her one of his sandwiches. One of his hot dogs. So remember, these were our vocabulary words: offer, cabin, campsite, legend, cliff, bone, expert, summer, granddad, love, tent, and farming. Remember, we had to take these words, we had to unscramble them. We did this. This is just a review because I want to get to the next story. So then, remember, we did the story. These were our new vocabulary words. I told you a cliff right here. You want to always go up here with an adult because that's dangerous. That's a whole lot of water to drink. Then here's a bone. Another vocabulary word. And then we had an expert because I told you, they said they was going to see an expert about a bone. So therefore, I told you that an expert was somebody who specialized in a particular area. So they don't necessarily. If I had an ear infection or something was wrong with my ear, I would not go to a dentist. A dentist specializes in teeth. So I would have to go to someone who really specializes in ears. And so then, and we know that a specialist, a volcanologist, is an expert on volcanoes. So they study why volcanoes, water level or whatever comes up the way that it does. Whatever a volcano does, that's what they study. So then we did the hike. This is the hike. This is when they took and they found the bone. They stopped for lunch. They went up there and they found the bone. They didn't know exactly. That's when they told us that they needed to find an expert. And that's what that volcanologist is. So we did the answers for the hike. I told you to do a process of elimination. I told you never just say, oh yeah, I know the answer. No, always go back to your text. Your text tells you everything that you need to know. Your text tells you everything you need to know. So this is some things that the hike that I highlighted. They had lunch. Max and Kate went looking for rocks. Max suggested that Kate bring her fork. And these are just some things. So now, this is what I want to get to. So we're going to do our reading comprehension. This is our Louisiana Connector. Discuss key details and main idea to a preferred topic, a preferred text. What are you going to be able to do? This is something that you have to be able to do because every time we do a lesson, you should be able to do something out of the lesson that's being taught. So students will be able to independently read the story with understanding, meaning you're going to understand what's going on with the story. You're going to be able to tell me who's talking, what is the setting, where is it happening at, who are the main characters, who's in the story. No, really, who's in the story? We need to know those kind of things. Because you don't just read for the sake of just reading. No, we need to read to have an understanding. You need to be able to comprehend, to understand what's going on. And the student will be able to identify main identity details in a grade level text, meaning that you're going to be able to read this on your level. If you're in second grade, you'll be on second grade level. You're going to read a second grade text and you'll be able to understand what's going on. So now, this brings us to our vocabulary words for this text. So, we know, and I'll give you the part of speech, because you know we're getting ready to do nouns, so you have to know that a noun names a person, place, or thing. For some of you just doing nouns, because I do K through 4th, you already know that a noun is a person, place, or thing. So for some of you, it's a review. For some of you, when we get there, it will be new to you. So college. A school you go to after high school, usually for 4 years. Example, he went to college to learn how to become a teacher. Awesome, that's what I'm doing. So then, remember, T-Rex. This is a new word for us. A large meat-eating North American dinosaur that walked on its hinds, on the back of his legs. A long time ago, T-Rexes lived in America. I even put you a clip here so you can hear how T-Rex sound. I saw it, I heard it, and it was kind of scary to me, so I'm good. A reptile. Usually when we say reptiles, we always parallel it to a snake. But a type of animal that includes dinosaurs, snakes, and lizards. Reptiles have scales and lay eggs. Example, a snake is a reptile without legs. So there's your example for that. And I try to give you a visual. I try to give you a visual so you can see what it is that I'm talking about. You notice every time I give you a vocabulary word, I give you a picture. Because I want you to visualize it. So then, that's our T-Rex. That's our noun. So now, the Bone Man. Let's see. Here we go. The Bone Man. So, let's read. So we always start with our title, The Bone Man. The next morning, Jake said, I just had a chat with a man from State College. His name is Ron Fitch, and he is an expert on bones. He has written lots of books. If we bring him to the bone, he can tell us what sort of bone it is. He got into the Jeep. Jake said that I was in charge of the bone. I wrapped it up and set it on my lap. Then we got to the college. We gave the Bone Man the bone. When we saw it, he broke into a big grin. The Bone Man bent down and said, Kids, I could be wrong, but it looks like you found something big here. I have to do some tests, but I'll bet this is a bone of a T-Rex. What is a T-Rex, I asked? Kate Mack said, T-Rex is the coolest, biggest, baddest reptile of all time. Look at how he described it. He says the coolest, the biggest, the baddest reptile of all time. Okay. T-Rex is like the coolest, the biggest, the baddest reptile of all time. I like those adjectives. The next week, Dan said, I just spoke with Ron Fitch, the bone man. I have 3 nice things to tell you. One nice thing is that you and Max found a T-Rex bone. Yippee! I shouted. Max would be so thrilled that he has a T-Rex bone. The next nice thing is that you found the bone in a state park. And there is a law that says if you dig up bones, you can't keep them for yourself. Who keeps them? I asked. The state will keep it. And Mr. Fitch and his helpers will dig up the rest of the bones too. And that will bring me to the last nice thing. They would like for you and Max to visit them at the cliff. Remember that cliff I showed you that you don't go to without an adult or somebody who is a great diver? That cliff. They would like for the 2 of you to pick out a name for the T-Rex you found. So cool, I said. Now, who's been doing all this talking? Because now you need to know. Who is it? Who's doing all this talking? Is it Max? Is it Kate? I don't know. Is it Nan? Is it Jake? Who's doing all this talking? Because somebody's telling me all about this story here. They said the next morning, Jake said, I just had a chat with a man from State College. His name is Ron Fitch. That's a proper noun. That's a name. And he is is an expert on bones. He has written lots of books. If we bring him to the bone, he can tell us what sort of bone it is. We got into the Jeep. Jake said that I was in charge of the bone. Who is that that's talking? I wrapped it up and set it on my lap. When we got to the college, we gave the bone man the bone. When he saw it, he broke into a big grin. The bone man bent down and said, "Kids, I could be wrong, but it looks like you found something big here. I have to do some tests, but I'll bet this is a bone of a T-Rex." Remember the picture I showed you of a T-Rex? "What's a T-Rex?" I asked. "Kate," Max said, "T-Rex is like the coolest, biggest, baddest reptile of all time." The next week, Nan said, "I spoke with Ron Fitch, the bone man. I have 3 nice things to tell you. One nice thing is that you and Max found a T-Rex." "Yippee!" I shouted. "Max will be so thrilled that he has a T-Rex bone." That's Kate speaking. "The next nice thing is that you found the bone in a state park, and there is a law that says if you dig up a bone, you can't keep it for yourself. Who keeps it? I asked. "The state will keep it, and Mr. Fitch and his helpers will dig it up, the rest of the bones too. And that brings me to the last nice thing. They would like for you and Max to visit them at the cliff. They would like for the 2 of you to pick out a name for the T-Rex that you found." "So cool," I said. So now, you read the story. You understand what's going on. They took the bone to the state college. Remember they said they had to find an expert. That's who Ron Fitch is. That's who this guy is. He's an expert. He's an expert. Remember, that's one of our spelling words. He's an expert on bones. That's what he specializes in. And he has written lots of books. I don't know if an expert, generally experts, they write a lot. You know, they know just about this particular area. Remember that. Just this particular area. Nothing else. Maybe they might know some other things, but this particular area. So then, we have our reading comprehension questions. Sorry. I want you all to see. So, where were Jake, Kate, and Max going in this story? Where were they going? So we're going to go back to our text. Because like I said, don't just assume you know where they were going. Don't just assume. Don't just assume you know where they were going. So where were they going? Let's see what our options are. So they were going to a state college. They were going swimming. They were going to a store. So even if you know the answer, do the process of elimination. Don't just rush. Do the process of elimination. So the next morning, Jake said, "I just had a chat with a man from State College. His name is Ron Fitch, and he is an expert on bones. He has written lots of bones, da-da-da-da-da." So then we keep on reading. He was in charge of, all that. So when we got to the college, he gave the bone man the bone. So where were they going? When we got to the college, he gave the bone man the bone. So you know that here it is, State College. They didn't go swimming, and they didn't go to the store because they didn't mention any of that in there. So now you have these others to answer. I want to see you answer on your own. Parents, thank you. Kids, you're doing a great job. I've been giving you pictures. I love it. You've been doing your process of elimination where you've been scratching it all, which is an awesome job. That lets me know that you've been going back to the text. You've been underlining, and Miss Alexis told you to do. So I gave you like a little recap of what we've previously been reading, because after the bone man, now there's another story. So we've done Kate Visits Nan, we did the campsite, we did the hike, we did the bone man, and now there's one more story that we have to read. So when I come back, we're going to review these answers, and then we're going to go straight into the next story. So we won't do all the rest of the, we won't do the Kate Visits Nan, the campsite, the hike, and all that, because we've done that already. I tried to do that on every video, because I try to make sure that you bring you up to speed, but now you get it. You know what we've been doing. You Louisiana Connect, let me give you objectives, and we're going to move on after we review the bone man, the answers. We're going to move on to the next story. See you in a few.